need you to like. You can watch me go, cause I don't need you to like me. Don't need you to like me. Don't need you to like me. You can say hello, but I don't need you to like me. Don't need you to like me. Don't need you to like. You can watch me go, cause I don't need you to like me. Don't need you to like me. Don't need you to like me. You can say hello, but I don't need you to like me. Don't need you to like me. Don't need you to like. You can watch me go, cause I don't need you to like me. Don't need you to like me. Don't need you to like. You can say hello, but I don't need you to like me. Don't need you to like me. Don't need you to like. You can watch me go, cause I don't need you to like me. Don't need you to like me. Don't need you to like me.
Hello, 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 hello. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Slightly later this evening, as young Harry was busy at work this afternoon, so we're going at 6 instead. Hope yous are all doing well. Hope yous are all looking forward to game week 32. This is Let's Get Tipsy. We know who's coming in. I can't do the shows on my own. Hello, Boona.
Namaste.
How you doing? You good?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, mate. One day away from Friday, which is always brilliant. How are you?
Yes. Yeah, I'm the same as you. Looking forward to the weekend, although I might just end up going out and doing overtime on Saturday. It's a good way to take your mind off FPL, I'll tell you. Because you're just not thinking about it. You're just busy working, aren't you? So it's almost like doing that match of the day challenge, but getting paid for it. That's how I like to look at it. Good evening to you in the chat. I know we're all getting ourselves all settled in. Penguin was in, damn it. I think Penguin ended up in the stream just as tips arrived in Discord. He was well early. And Chris Irvin's there as well. Sparta, good evening, and lots more coming in as we speak. Will we get our guest in, Buna, and just kick off straight away?
Yeah, let's crack on, mate.
Let's do it. So, good evening, everyone. As you know, well, you've seen the thumbnail, you know who's joining us this evening. Our guest is a young man with the FPL world at his fingertips. We have things like PJ tips, pen tips, tip of the iceberg. Tonight we welcome in beside us the man known for his FPL tips, a weekly contributor of YouTube content and a hard-working Twitter FPL tipster. Please give a lounge welcome to one of the hardest working youngsters in our industry. It's a privilege to welcome in the studio beside Buna and I, with over 19,000 followers on Twitter, over 4,000 subs on his YouTube channel. It is the one and only Harry, but better known to us as FPL Tips. Good evening.
Good evening, guys. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. How you keeping? You doing well? Busy?
Yeah, good. As Boona said, Friday tomorrow. Can't complain at that.
Exactly. You all excited for Gameweek 32? Everything done and dusted?
I haven't made my transfers yet, but yeah, looking forward to it.
Interesting. Righty-ho, Buna. In chat, sorry, I should say, if you've not posted any questions over on to Buna, don't hesitate, just bang them in the chat and we'll get through as many as we can over the next hour. But Buna, let's get to know Harry a little bit better, shall we?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Harry's no stranger. He's been on our channel before, but we've never really done an in-depth interview with him. So it'd be good to understand a bit more about, Harry's style of play and how he got into the game. So that's where we'll start. How long have you been playing the game, Harry? And how did you get into it?
So I'll start from the beginning. I started playing FPL probably about 10 years ago, playing the Telegraph one and doing my dad's sort of work league. And then probably about 5 years ago, so this is my 5th season of the official game and my 5th season of sort of taking fantasy football seriously. And I do my own team now, but that's how I started. I was on my dad's work league. But yeah, five proper seasons of it.
Nice. And what are you up to when you're not playing FPL? I know you were busy today at work. Do you want to let everyone know what Harry gets up to out with of FPL?
Oh, I work in market research,
Nice.
But yeah, I just have like meetings and stuff until 5:30. So sadly, I can't jump on, and I need a little bit of time to sort my head out when I finish. So
Just to clear your mind.
Exactly.
So, as I say, it's great, obviously, to have you here alongside us. When did you get involved in the whole Twitter side of things, and starting off your YouTube channel? How did that all start for you?
So I would say Twitter came first. I just looking and it says March 2017, which is then towards the end of probably 4 seasons ago. That came first, just chatting to people. I had a personal account and I followed a few people and I thought, as we always do, I might make my own one. And then YouTube came probably a couple of seasons after. I did the odd live stream, but this season's my first proper YouTube season. With it, a couple of videos a week and things like that. But yeah, just enjoy it. I think that's the main part. Like, I just enjoy chatting to people, and I don't know about you guys, but I don't have friends in real life or like that I know properly that I talk FPL about with. So it's just nice.
I'm totally clipping that, by the way, where it stops, where you say I don't have no friends in real life.
That's why I spend so much of my life on Twitter, because it's all I got. No.
But you're all set up now, and you're. I know what you're saying. Definitely this season, you're well churning out the content. So good for you, Harry. And like you say, you've got to enjoy it. You know what I mean? I suppose, Buna, that's one of the questions that we should maybe point towards tips. Is that FPL tips, it's in the name. Does it come with any pressures or anything like that, do you find? You know, I can imagine your DMs must fill up on a daily basis with people asking who to transfer in for who. You know, can it get a bit overwhelming for you?
I wouldn't say overwhelming. I think I get some DMs and I do my best to reply to them, but it's always the thing that throughout the course of a season, if you asked me every week what transfer to make, it would come out. I'd hope it would come out well, but you always know that if they ask you one decision a season, that the chance of it coming out right is not as high. So then you think, well, if you ask me every week, then great. But if it's one thing, then it's a bit more stressful. But yeah, I do my best to give the best advice I can.
No, definitely, and you can see that, can't you, Boona, all over Twitter? You know, tips as they're helping people out.
Absolutely, mate. And you know, his channel, I'm sure Harry will, you know, definitely verify, definitely come on leaps and bounds, particularly this season.
Yeah.
But more importantly, when you're in the public eye as well, and you know, I've made no, you know, I've not hidden it. I've kind of struggled this season with everything relating to FPL, but with you being so in the public eye as well, it really does help. You know, I'm sure when you're having as good a season as you're having. So tell us a little bit about your season and how it's gone for you, Harry. Albeit, you know, it's stalled a little bit in recent weeks, you're still doing very, very well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm 21 or 22k now. I have been, as I said to you guys before, I've been about the same rank for the past 15 or so game weeks. It started very well with a sort of game week 5 wildcard where I brought in Kane and Son and a few others that did really well. So that sort of boosted me up very quickly. And then, yeah, come about game week 15, I hit my highest, which was about 14k, about just before the blanks and the doubles. But yeah, I've gone up and down. It hasn't been sort of flat arrows every week, but yeah, it's been pretty flat since then, which is fine. You know, I'm at a rank that I'm happy to be at. And if you said I'd be here at the start of the season, then I'd be more than happy to have said this is where I'll be. But I suppose it's what I could have been at, maybe, seeing as where I was 15 game weeks ago.
Yeah.
No, nice.
And what I was going to say, what's kind of sorry, Lama. I was going to say what's worked well for you this season, Harry, and I'll give you my thoughts first, and then I want to hear, you know, whether you think similar. So as you know, most people know, I like to play the game a bit different and not be as, you know, boring, dull, however you want to, you know, term it. And I feel like that's probably been to my detriment this season, and I feel like those that are more off a more cautious mindset and play the game a bit more safe have profited from, you know, moving on to players early, the likes of Calvert-Lewin earlier in the season, Martinez, Son and Kane, like I'm sure you're going to come on to mention. How have you kind of seen the season from that sort of lens?
Yeah, I feel like it's a conversation we have most seasons, but I do feel this has been the most template season I can remember.
Yeah,
especially the second half of the season. I think the first half there was enough options to go around, but this second half of the season, I think it's been really tough because those differentials that we've tried to go for have just not scored as many points as the template has. So you've been stuck, you know, going with the same ones. The captaincy has been, again, it's a big one that a lot of the time there's been one captain pick where I know there's been a lot of talk about sort of EO and ownership this past few weeks, but the ownership on the top captains again has been massive, and it's been higher than I ever remember it being. Feels like scripted in a way that, not scripted as in planned, but it's very easy to just do what everyone else is doing this season, it feels.
I think that's it. I think you've hit the nail on the head, and we've spoke about it, Boona, haven't we, in Discord and on other streams and stuff, that the template's been what it is, and us, and I say us as in Boona and I, the way we play the game, it's just not worked out for us at all, you know. Although I'm the 2 years are climbing now, Boona, but it's not as good as what it usually is from our perspective. A little bit too late. So, yeah, and I think we would even toil to climb at this rate. I mean, I know we'll come on to it because I know I can already see the chat asking the kind of questions, you know, about Son or Kane captaincy, for example, this game week. It's tempting to captain Son as a differential, but if Kane bangs, then you're plummeting. almost. Do you know what I mean? Even though you own them, I think it's stuff like that that really, it's just not worked out for us that like to play that kind of game. So like back to you, Harry, because it's all about you and getting to know you better. So what kind of manager would you describe yourself as? You know, like Buna and I would say that we're a bit more maverick in the sense that not scared to take a hit, as you know. If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But we've had a lot of people, and I've certainly taken note, Harry, of a lot of people that we've had on the show that they're quite content with the template and slow playing it. Don't make, well, what was it Batiste was saying? Gianni, he's not taken a hit in 2.5 seasons. It's crazy. But what kind of manager are you, Harry?
I am now pretty conservative.
Okay.
This season in particular, and especially I think something I've tried to learn is my captaincy being conservative. I have the phrase that I use that if someone's differential enough, if they're differential, I don't like anymore putting the captaincy on them because they're going to get me a rank gain if they do well anyway. And I think my previous seasons, I know that people will disagree with that, but my sort of failings in previous seasons has been from captaining the likes of Mahrez, where it's just not gone as well, and I can just leave him and he's a differential on my own. So I am more conservative than I think a lot of people are, definitely.
No, yeah. No, thank you for that. I mean, interesting, yesterday, Boona, I don't know if you caught my message on it or not. We were having not a debate as such, but raising a few points, Harry, on that in Discord last night. And it was brought up that one of the guys, I don't know if he's in the chat now, he usually works back shift, so he might actually be working just now, but John Harris, who joins us, what he's been doing since Christmas is captaining players under 10% or under owned. And what he was saying was, what he's found surprising, I should say, is that when it's worked out well, he's climbed massively. But when it hasn't worked out, he's not dropped that far. Like, he's not dropped like he thought he would. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's actually something that, if you actually look at it, some of the top captains that we've all gone on haven't actually done that well, which makes that outcome not that surprising. But it's the fear of it, isn't it? That, you know, you don't captain Bruno and he goes and scores 2 penalties and it gets an assist, and you think, well, what could happen in that situation? But it hasn't actually. My first half of the season, I hit a lot of captains, and that did well for me.
Yep.
And actually, I just haven't hit them in the second half of the season because I've picked a lot of those high EO players.
Okay.
Harry, am I correct in saying a couple of weeks ago when I started the movement, you jumped on the Bruno movement? I think I remember screenshotting you.
Yeah, so I did, and
it didn't go too bad though, did it? Really?
Well, I brought in Aubameyang as his replacement for the week that he had.
That does make a difference.
Yeah, that for the week that when Bruno had Man City and Aubameyang had Burnley, and Aubameyang scored against Burnley, and I thought, great. And then 30 seconds into that City game, he gets a penalty, and I thought, well, I'm never gonna. You can't beat.
That was painful, mate. Can you just take a second to imagine what my notifications were like at that point?
Yeah, can only imagine.
Yeah, your phone was like a fruit machine for about 10 minutes, constantly pinging. What else are we going to? Well, let's get to know Harry a bit better, Boona. Go and ask him one of your usual other questions, mate.
Do you know what I want to ask you? And I think a lot of people will be quite interested in this, Harry, is, as many people know, Harry's an avid Fulham supporter. No, I'm only joking. People forget that Chelsea and Fulham that's your closest derby, isn't it? That's your rivalry.
So I had this conversation with someone yesterday about who's Chelsea main rival.
It never gets mentioned, mate.
in theory, it's Fulham, but of course, there hasn't been that much competition between the two clubs for a while. So then it turns to sort of Spurs and Arsenal. But those two clubs have a rivalry together. So you're we're third wheeling a little bit between the two of them. So, I mean, if me personally, my biggest rival is United. And I know it's not geographically, but the team that I want to beat every season more than anyone is United.
Brilliant.
I think that's because for a long time it was, and growing up, it was Chelsea and United were two of the ones, we trade trophies between the two of us for a long time. So I think that's probably why it is for me. But in theory, it's Fulham.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, what I really wanted to get out there, though, jokes aside, was a bit more insight into your thoughts on Chelsea assets, really, from here moving onwards, given your involvement still in, obviously, the Champions League, and also in the league. Like, are there any particular assets that you'd like to tout as, someone to consider, given recent form?
Yeah, so I saw a question on Twitter about this to reply to one of yours. And I think, first of all, I think I play Chelsea assets in FPL very differently to most people play with their teams. And actually, I don't pick Chelsea assets very often because I watch the games and I just want to be able to focus on us winning rather than which Chelsea player is going to score. I very rarely, I've got one in my team at the moment in defence, but I rarely actually pick a Chelsea player compared to someone else. I do think there's good assets for us at the moment, but as I'm sure we're all aware, there's going to be a lot of rotation, especially in the sort of front three that is going to be changing every game, that especially going into that Champions League matches, that the next couple of games in the league, I think is very hard to predict who's going to get the minutes. I think Havertz has started to look really good, and he's one that I would love to have in my team, but I can't own a Chelsea attacker at the moment, knowing that we've got 2 Real Madrid legs in the next 2 weeks, so we can't. Yep. He's not going to play his strongest lineup in the league every week because he'll need them for that. So
I think that is one of the questions I know that we've had in, isn't it? Or similar to that, Buna, that you got via Twitter or on your WhatsApp groups, just about rotation and stuff. But we've got a couple more to get to you, Harry, just to get to know you a little bit better. Yeah. The chat are screaming questions at an awful rate.
I just want to give a shout out.
Go and say hello to a few folk, Buna.
Yeah, let me. I just want to first give a shout out to Badman for his kind words there, saying, enough respect to you lads. Banging out content, how you keep going. If you've had a bad game week is beyond me. The game tests my patience. Really appreciate it, mate. It has been tough, but, we do it for you guys at the end of the day. And I'm glad you're enjoying it. But shout out to those guys in the chat. We've got FPL Penguin, a.k.a. Pingu, in the chat. How you doing, pal? We've got Chris Irvine joining us. Ayush Shrestha. We've got Jesma Baldacchino, Fantasy Plonker. Got Tom in there, TC, Team Hibbo, FPL. We've got, I'm just scrolling down. We've got Waz FPL joining us as well. Hope you're doing well, Waz. FPL Sparta in the chat, and many others. But I hope you're all doing well. Cheers for those kind words, Badman. Really appreciate it, mate. Had an interesting question. I've not actually scrolled up, so I'll leave you to scroll up, but I'm going to read from the bottom because it's quite an interesting question. We had a question from Johan Gunnarsson. Question for tips. How do you deal with FOMO? For example, I have Son, Jota, Fernandez, Salah, Kane, Laka, and Iheanacho, and I'm going mad not having Jesse Lingard.
It's horrible, and you can't. I know we say it a lot that you can't have them all, but you really can't, and you just got to be content that even if you don't have Lingard and you're getting I'm sure we'll talk about Lingard in a bit, but if you don't have a player like that and you're still getting green arrows and you're still doing well, you've got to be happy enough with that. And if those players are causing you to get a red arrow, then you need to find a way maybe to deal with it. But we can't have them all. There's loads of players that I'd potentially like to have, but I can't, and they're doing well. But I'm happy with the players that I've got. Well, most of the players that I've got in my team at the moment. So it is tough, and there are players I think I wish I could have him in my team, but I don't have space for them.
Have you noticed, Harry, more this season than any other? There is a lot of that FOMO, as the young kids like to say, that fear of missing out. Because I seem to think that it's been more this season than I've ever experienced it. But is that just me, or are you seen that?
No, you're right. It's more so, I think, Harry, to do with price points. The way they've priced players, there's far more attractive options now.
Yeah, and I think it is this that there's, as we said, it's a very template season, but there's probably about 6 or 7 mids that you'd like, and about 3 or 4 forwards, which means there aren't loads of options that you don't have, but there's enough that you feel like you're close to having everyone you want, but there's always going to be a couple of players that you don't have that you're missing out on, which again, if there was 20 midfielders that we'd consider, then it would make it in a way easier because there's so many players that you don't have. But it feels like there's just sort of one or two that is always going to slip your grasp.
TC makes an interesting point there, and don't worry, chat. I'm going back the way, so I'll start at the start and work my way to the latest kind of commentary. But just on that, TC says hopefully there are more strikers next year, which is interesting because this season they recategorised a lot of people. If I can get my teeth in, and
what?
Categorised a lot of strikers into midfield positions and really kind of put the cats amongst the pigeons. So I don't know if that's been the cause for a lot of it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't particularly mind that there's not that many forwards this year. I mean, there's a lot of midfielders. I don't see who they'd put, who's a midfielder at the moment, into a forward position particularly, unless they start chucking all the wingers in. But I don't see that happening, and I don't think it's a good idea. So I don't see who they're going to move that's going to help the situation.
Right, okay.
So I think we're going to be in a similar situation next year where there's not very many premium forwards anymore, and that you're probably playing one of them if Kane continues, and then your cheap ones up there and put your money in midfield.
It'll be interesting indeed.
Yeah.
Before Harry, we crack into because Boona's got some of the stuff that he got over Twitter in his WhatsApp groups. In the chat, as I say, I've got quite a few good questions in here for you. But before we do, we need to ask you the question that we ask every single one of our guests. And you need to put yourself in a situation. Are you ready for this, Harry?
Go for it.
Okie dokie. It's the final seconds of a Champions League final. It's 0-0 and you're through on goal 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper. You're just about to lace the ball with your boots when out the corner of your eye you see your strike partner. Now you know that if you pass it to him he's surely not going to miss. It's an open goal, the keeper's 1-on-1 with you. However, Harry, FPL tips. The ball is at your feet, it's your decision. What are you doing? Are you smashing it or are you passing it?
I'm passing that. I don't think I have the bottle to take it on myself. I'd love to say that, I'd chip it over like Ramirez did in the Champions League, or I'd do a Torres and go around the keeper, but I'd be passing it every time.
No, that is and it's all up to you. So it was your decision, and I think that's a decent decision. Boona would smash it all day long.
Yeah.
Going back up to the top, there's a couple of things coming in with rumours about Joe Hart being out. What I'll do is if I quickly flip here, people can see me, which isn't the best thing. There's no mention in Ben's website about Joe Hart being out. Boona, do you know anything about that?
I mean, who gives a shit? Joe Hart?
That's what I was kind of wondering, but it was TC that raised it right near the beginning, so I thought, oh well, I'll have a look for him.
That's my season over. That's my season done.
Yeah, a lot of people asking the question, Harry and Boona, about Spurs. I take it yous are the same, can't really see past a Harry Kane or possibly a Son for your captaincy. Have you got your triple captain chip, just out of interest?
I have, and I am playing it.
Oh, there we go, chat. It's getting released. Do you want to share with us who it's going on, or are you keeping it up your chest?
I mean, it's no surprise, and it's not a differential at all. It will be on Harry Kane this week.
So you're triple captaining the Kane.
Yeah.
Can I scare you a little bit with one of the community's questions? And it's not something I don't think anyone's mentioned it.
Okay.
And it was from Anand from the FPL Escapades, and he asked, Kane or no Kane? Firstly, that question in isolation, is I presume you mean to captain Kane or not captain Kane, because anyone in their right mind has Kane. But he says Kane or no Kane because the Carabao Cup final just 4 days after the double game week 32 second fixture. That is a valid point. What's your thoughts on that? Do you reckon Mourinho would just exhaust them throughout those two games and then the final?
I'd be so shocked if he doesn't play any of the next two games. He hasn't not started a game when he's been fit in however long. I just don't see it happening.
What was that thing? Sorry, Harry.
I mean, I've seen that mentioned, and I suppose it's worth noting, but I don't think it's enough to put me off.
What was that thing that you got sent today, Boona? and it just randomly appeared in my WhatsApp about Kane being out. I was like, oh my god, who starts these things?
I think that was, can't remember. I think it was one of the comedians on Twitter. I think it was either Ping Green or FPL Elf or someone had put it together.
Oh, it's brilliant though. That's how to just scare.
What was
tactics.
What was the name? I need to find this now.
Right, while you're looking at that, I'll ask Harry the question that Waz has put towards you, Harry. He's at 800,000 rank at the moment, and he's hoping to try and finish in the top 500k. Can he still make that happen?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know quite what the points deficit is, how far away you are from 800, but that seems very reasonable. Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem in expecting someone to make up that ground. Definitely not. I mean, I'm 26 points outside the top 10k, and I still think that's doable.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I don't expect Waz to be more than that outside the top 500k. So yeah, I definitely think that's doable.
That's more than doable, Harry, to be honest. I'm 74 or 79 points behind top 100k, and even though there's only 8 game weeks left, I've bridged 100 points in 5 game weeks previously in a previous season, so it's still all very much to play for.
You've done that earlier even this season.
I think you've got more than top 10k to play for there, mate. A few good game weeks and you're right back up there. We've seen people go this game week from like 100k to like 40k.
Yeah, well, I have my triple captain and I have my free hit, so
there you go.
Hopefully that can come in clutch.
Because the other Ben, I'm sure, Buna, you mentioned again in the WhatsApp group that there could be a double game week or games getting shifted about for game week 37. Is that right?
Well, no, yeah. Paulie put it in the group that there may be some big doubles in game week 35. Is it?
Is it 35? Is it? Sorry.
Yeah, I think so. 35 or 36, one of the two.
So I think we've had, in theory, confirmation of it today, because there's an article on The Athletic saying that they're going to move the fixtures around so that every team has a home fixture after the lockdown ends, which in theory means we will have a blank and a double, technically. Which does open the question to save my triple captain, but I still think I'm going to play it.
Nice.
I think those that will benefit from this most are those that miraculously, for whatever crazy reason, still have their free hit. Although there's going to be how big is the free hit going to be actually? I imagine it's not going to be.
Well, I'd either play it on the blank or in the double. I don't quite know which way around it will work yet, but yeah.
Team James is asking, now I don't really know if this is talking about himself or talking about you, Harry. 3 Brighton defence on a free hit in blank 29, the biggest differential that's cashed in this season. I think he's maybe just talking about himself, isn't he?
Potentially. I mean, I don't remember loads of like the free hits when there's been a lot of them played that there's been anyone that's been a big differential that's done particularly well. Either triple Brighton defence that week or Trossard when he got 11 or 12 points. That was the other big one for him. But yeah, that game week was turned out to be so far the best week to have played your free hit, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely. Ayush is asking, good evening to you, hope you're doing well. Who, Harry, is your most underwhelming transfer that you can remember?
This is so easy, and it is Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and I cannot believe he's still in my team, and I just
he's
cannot
still
wait
in
to
your
get
team.
So right,
I thought Arsenal was still looking to try and find him.
You're going to keep him this weekend, though, right? Surely.
No, I am not keeping him, and there's no word or anything you can tell me to. So I wildcarded and sold him straight away, and then I was like, maybe I keep him for 1 week and I'll captain him against Sheffield United, and I was like, great, here we go. And then Saturday evening, Aubameyang's out with the flu, and I'm like, brilliant. So he's not been a good transfer. I've done it twice this season and it's never paid off. So yeah, him.
You weren't one of those lucky fuckers that got Dallas off their bench, were you?
No, I was meant to get Smith Rowe off my bench, but he didn't play either. So I got Kufal, who got 4 to be fair, but my vice captain was on Vardy, so I don't think I was very well off.
Dallas was third on my bench, and that's the thing. Like, see if I played the game week again, it would still be there.
Yeah.
Dallas would still be third on my bench. There's no way I was expecting that to happen with Leeds against City, but it's what it is. Bruno, do you want to ask Tips any of the questions that you've had in on the social media as I'm keeping track here?
Yes, sir. Let me just find it. We had some questions through on Discord. We had a question from Penguin, actually, Harry, asking, knowing Harry's a Chelsea fan, what has Tuchel done differently to that Chelsea squad that Lampard didn't?
I don't know is the answer to that. I think we are so defensively solid now. And again, I don't know quite what's changed. I know we're playing 3 at the back now, which is going to help. But even before playing 4 at the back, we didn't look nearly as sort of defensively solid. I think that's a big thing. And he loves to keep the ball. There's interviews with him at his previous clubs where he basically says, if I can keep the ball, then the opposition can't score, which it sounds obvious, but he's shown in the past, 12 weeks that it works very well. So we've changed the way we play so that we keep the ball very well. So our defense play it around very well. But I think that midfield too that we have, whether it's Kovacic and Kante, Kovacic or Jorginho, the way they keep the ball has changed us a lot, I think.
No, definitely. Tuchel for men, that is the aftershave that we're thinking of getting produced, Harry. What do you reckon?
Yeah, definitely. I'll have one of those on pre-order, please.
TC's wanting a transfer kind of question answered or help with. He's thinking, although I think I know where you are going to go with this. So for both of you, Buna and also you, Harry, thinking of taking a hit for Maja
Before you
to
answer
Welbeck.
this, mate, can you just stop and not give him any advice, because he's 1.6k in the world. And he just scored 86 points this game week.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Well, you don't need our help, Tom. Get out of here. What are you looking for free advice from us for?
So yeah, well, that's what he's thinking of doing, mate. Maja to Welbeck. He should know then, shouldn't he?
He's 1.6k and he's got Maja in his team. You can't make.
And he's thinking of buying Welbeck. And...
Oh my god.
I don't know.
Tom, teach
lost.
me.
I know, I'm lost. Lost for words. Let's go to Spartas and just a personal
Hang on.
to. Oh, sorry.
Welbeck is away at Chelsea this week.
Oh, there you go.
As well. That's not just bringing in Welbeck to play against Sheffield United. That's bringing in Welbeck away at Chelsea.
It is. And as you can see there on Draft
He has
Hound,
United next week.
as you can see there on Draft Hound, which does FPL but compares it with the bookies odds, Chelsea are at 61% to win that game. So I don't think I'd be making that transfer based on that, but who am I to say? John, just want to say a personal thank you very, very much. You know what I'm talking about, so do some of the lads, so just want to say, John, thank you. Tips, this is a question from Sparta, also known as John. What are the most hits that you've ever taken in a game week?
I think probably -12.
Oh!
I don't know have I ever gone that high. I think I probably have once.
Okay.
I'm not a lover of hits. I'm never a lover of going anything over a -4. I've probably done a -12 in my younger days, but at the moment I haven't done anything more than a -4.
You're still a youngster, Harry.
I don't think I've done anything. Let me have a look. Yeah, I've only ever done a -4 this season.
Oh, that's decent then.
Yeah.
To be fair. I still can't get my head around Gianni Batiste not taking any hits for 2.5 seasons.
I know.
That's mental.
I feel like he must have not had any injuries or anything. I feel like I've had to take hits because I've got 9 players or something.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ayush, a player you thought about... actually, Buna, you can answer this one as well as Harry. A player you thought about getting, but didn't in the end, who ended up hauling. Cast your memories on any of those choices?
I can think of loads, mate. Players that I didn't jump.
Okay.
Players that I neglected, who then subsequently went on disgustingly good runs, include from this season Bamford, Calvert-Lewin, Bruno for some parts as well. There's loads, mate. Me just trying to be too clever. Martinez had a stonker of a season, and I tried to overthink things and kept thinking, no, it will come to an end, and Here we are in Gameweek 32, and it's still not come to a bloody end.
Yeah. What about yourself, Harry? Any there that you've thought, damn it, I should have got him in, and I didn't?
Well, Jesse Lingard is just one of them, and it's still a pain. And the other one is probably James Justin, who I owned for the first 4 game weeks of the season. Decided to take him out on my wildcard because Ricardo Pereira was coming back from injury, and he seemed to never come back for the next 16 weeks, and I never owned James Justin.
Yeah, I mean, I've just... interesting when you were saying earlier, I did somehow manage a green arrow last weekend. Didn't own Lingard and didn't own Iniacho.
Oh, wow.
However, I have brought them both in now because they're just both on form, so why not? But yeah, I think I've well passed the boat, so to say, on Lingard. But I still stick by it. I did not think for the life of me he was going to join West Ham and do that over the last, 7-8 game weeks, something like that. Crazy.
Yeah.
Bear Pounds, has Bear been in here before? I'm not sure. Good evening to you anyway. Hope you're doing well. Got a question for you lads. Oh Christ, here's another one, Boona. He's ranked 5,000 in the world, but he still wants us to try and help him.
On him.
Best replacement for DCL. I've already got Iniacho, and I've also got Kane. And he's looking to replace DCL. And as you can see, for those...
Very easy one.
So I've got Ben Dirry's sheet up here, as we were looking at last week when he was in alongside us in the studio. In his last training session, Dom had a little problem on his abductor. He wasn't comfortable, so I'd prefer to leave him out. So a return date looking potentially next week, 23rd of April. So, tips. Boona, who's Bear Pounds getting in?
Di Cavani.
He's got 3 million. Like somebody in the chat's already asked how much money you got. So he's got about 3 million in the bank, just to try and give you a bit of background to that as well. So
I just told you who, man. You completely ignored my singing.
Yeah, who were you singing about?
Edison Cavani.
Listen, I tell you, that's not the worst shout in the world. What about you, Harry?
So I'd consider Lacazette as the one who jumps out to me. And then the other one, I don't know how I'm going to get with recommending a Burnley player, but depending on who he's got as midfield, Chris Wood or Matej Vydra, their fixtures are very nice and they seem to be doing not too bad recently. So, but I'd probably go Lacazette.
Oh, interesting. So a Lacazette, a Cavani. I like Cavani. There's something about Cavani in the way he's playing just now as well, and he does seem to be getting started. He is getting started, and he does seem to be scoring as well. TC recommending Watkins. None of you's mentioned Watkins. Is he a don't touch? Well, you wouldn't bring him in against City, would you?
No, I mean, you probably wouldn't. I didn't own him my wild card because he had Liverpool last week, but that didn't stop him. I probably still wouldn't go with Watkins. I owned him and I sold him on my wild card, and for now I just think there's other options. To be honest, if he's got Iheanacho and Kane, I'd probably go Vidra and upgrade my midfield because I don't think these forwards that we're talking about are as good as some of those midfield options that you could get.
Yeah, no, totally agree. Totally agree. Boona, anything else from the Twitter sphere that you want covered off?
Nothing that I can see, mate. Nothing that I've sent you. We kind of covered the Chelsea questions. Let me just double check, though.
No problem. With me. Whilst you're double checking that, Scott in the chat's basically saying that Chelsea are a bit unpredictable, Harry. Would you agree with that? That's the kind of issue with Chelsea just now.
I think unpredictable in terms of our lineup. I think it's, apart from the West Brom game where we got 10 men, I think we've been pretty predictable in terms of the performances that we've put in. Yes, that game has made it look like we're unpredictable, but we were down to 10 men. I think it's pretty clear and obvious what you're going to get from us.
Yeah.
It's going to be a pretty solid defensive performance. We're going to keep a lot of the ball and we're going to struggle to put it in the net for a long time. But some games we've managed to do it. But yeah, I think we've been more predictable under Tuchel than we ever were under Lampard. So
I mean, I think that this is just a personal thing. I think because I wasn't 100% on who was starting for Chelsea, that's why I've kind of not went near them, to be honest. I did have defender in. Was it Chilwell I had, possibly?
Yeah.
Until he got injured, and then I've not really looked at them again. Here's a good one for you, Harry, from Team James. Good evening. Tips. As a Chelsea fan, could you describe your FPL relationship with Timo Werner in 3 words or less?
Oh, only 3 words.
Yeah. I can feel the bent up frustration. Oh, all right, okay, that's very politely put. I could feel the redness coming through the screen.
It's hard because I love watching him play, and I really want him to do well. And I feel like he's one of the players that, if you look at only stats and you look at sort of expected numbers, he's great. You think he's going to score a hat-trick every week, but if you watch him in person and look at the actual number of points he's scored, it shows the complete opposite. So I just hope that he finds his feet.
Yeah, definitely. Boona, I'm down to FPL Texans question, unless you want to go the opposite direction. It's up to you.
No, you crack on, mate.
Okay. Thoughts for the both of you, so Boona and Harry. What's your thoughts on Greenwood going forward? Where does he rank for you in terms of budget midfielders?
He's definitely up there. There's been quite a bit of mention about him recently. I was speaking to someone earlier today in Discord, and they mentioned Greenwood as an option. And I kind of questioned them. Well, he didn't start last game, and I can't remember who it was. And I basically said that was due to the opposition, because obviously United played Spurs, so Ollie kind of changed the lineup a little bit, but they expect him to come back in, so he could be a really good option. He's got 2 in 2 now as well.
Yep, definitely. What about you, Harry? Excuse me.
I'm not as on board the Greenwood bandwagon as I think other people are yet.
Yeah.
I do look at their lineup and think, realistically, at the moment, he's in their strongest team, playing out on the right. So I think he has a chance of getting minutes, but he scored 2 in 2, but I need to see a bit more from him.
Okay.
And I know it's probably one I'm going to sleep on and regret it, and I'm never going to get him, and he may do well, but he did well at the end of last season as well.
Yeah.
But I don't see it quite yet.
No, I mean, interestingly, Draft Hound have stuck him in there as part of their differential team. So he's obviously catching the eye with the bookies and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't think I would be going... I think we've already spoken about it. There's so many midfielders that you can choose from that I think probably do better than Greenwood from now to the end of the season. Although, how often have we said that? Bad man saying there, I got rid of Jesse for Son 2 weeks ago and I've been swimming in the mud ever since. Love your tips. Thanks. Don't know who that was aimed at, if that was me or you, Boona. So...
I don't give any good tips.
Just scrolling through the now. Oh, okay, so
got FPL Escapades asking KDB to Son and Cancelo to Trent. Thoughts? I mean, it sounds great to me.
Yeah,
can't fault it. I'm actually captaining Son myself just because got some ground to make up, and his effective ownership is likely to be significantly lower than Kane's, I'd imagine. Kane's, I'd expect to be closer to 150, if not more, this game week, especially in the top 10k. Not that I'm anywhere near the top 10k, but that's usually a good barometer.
Bruno, can I ask you a question on that?
Yeah, go for it, mate.
No, I'm not. I'm just generally curious on, are you going for Son over Kane as a sort of hope, or is there part of you that thinks he could do better than Kane?
I would say 70% hope, 30% of me thinks that he could do better than Kane. I think he is capable of doing better than Kane, and he has got a good history against these two teams, just as good as Kane has as well. Maybe Kane's slightly better, but it's also the clean sheet. Not clean sheet points is probably a myth for Spurs, but it's the extra goal scoring point, which kind of sways it for me. And it's more so, like I said, hope and just the need for me at my rank at the moment to go differential. If it pays off, it could be mega.
No, definitely.
Fair.
Definitely. Escapades shouting you out here, Harry. Good evening, lads, and hello to an absolute legend of the FPL community, FPL Tips. Massive love heart. Thank you very much for that. There you go, Tips. Nice of
Very
him.
kind.
Rajan, should I bring in Pereira, Semedo, or Shaw for Creswell? What do we think, Harry and Buna? I know who I would pick out of those three. I'd go Shaw. But what do you think, Harry, and what do you think, Buna?
I brought in Shaw.
Yeah, I think that's a good...
Who was the first two? Pereira and...
Pereira or Semedo?
I'd bring in Pereira.
Oh, interesting. There you go, Rajan. A couple of options for you. Buna and I would... Buna and I on our rank would side with Shaw, and Harry on his rank would side with Pereira.
So you mentioned you say Pereira. I want to ask you a question then, Harry, because as you know, I'm already on a -8, and I was considering making a further transfer.
Oh wow!
To change my goalkeeper. And the two in consideration, well, there were actually three. One of them was Lloris. However, the reason why I've steered away from that is because taking that additional -4 would leave me with no keepers in 33 and me needing to take another -4 to bring in another keeper. So I can't do that as much as I want to. So the other options I've got then are Schmeichel and Patricio, who both Leicester and Wolves have really, really good fixtures for the next 4. Now, would you make that goalkeeper transfer if Pope was ruled out tomorrow, or play Areola? And if you were to make that transfer, who would you go out of Schmeichel and Patricio, and why?
I have Schmeichel in my team, but I also have...
Oh, do you?
Saiss. So I have both defences covered. Between the two of them, I'd probably favour Schmeichel. I think they've got a better chance of more points between now and the end of the season than that Wolves defence do. The only thing is if Neto is potentially out, then that Wolves team could go to a back 5 again. And if they keep doing that, then I'd probably change my mind and go Patricio. Because if they play a back 5, they look great defensively. And if they play a back 4, they look dreadful.
Do you not think with Neto out, that's going to reduce their attacking threat more? And as a result of that, teams will attack them more because they won't be going forward as much? I feel like they'll be weakened.
Potentially, but I mean, what minute did he go off in the Friday night game? I'd probably just about favour Schmeichel, not knowing what Wolves are going to do, and looking at how they have been defensively, they've been pretty lucky. And then the match against West Ham, they were pretty dreadful. So I probably would go Schmeichel.
Can I just ask that same question to the chat as well? There's 29 of you in there. If you were to pick one out of Schmeichel and Patricio, or Patricia, how I put it on Twitter yesterday, who would it be? And also, there's quite a few new names in the chat as well. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to say, if you are enjoying and have enjoyed the session today, we do interviews with members of the FPL Twitter community and those content creators within the community every single Thursday, usually at 5 p.m. If you've enjoyed it, please do consider hitting that subscribe button, as we are now only 5 subscribers away from 800. So if you can help support that, that would be really, really appreciated. And the same goes for liking the video too.
No, nice one. Adam, I'll say hello to you as well, pal, alright? Hi, Harry. Hi, Buna. No mention of Llama. Don't need to mention the Llama. Hi, Adam. That's alright. Safa's posted a pure belter, so if anyone's out there and think that Gameweek 31 was a bit of a kick in the teeth, listen to this one from FPL Safa. Buna, if you could play that violin soft music in the background.
For reference, FPL Safa was like top 10 or something in the world, like 4 or 5 game weeks ago. Yeah,
so there you go, Harry. So I think we've positioned it about right. I posted my team on Twitter, and Dallas was first sub by mistake. Then someone pointed it out, and I moved him to third sub, and I didn't end up getting his points. Laugh out loud. Small margins. Jesus.
Oh dear.
Doesn't make me feel as bad when I see stuff like that. Rajan, he's asking the same question again, but I think it was just because we hadn't actually asked it. But hopefully you've got your answer now, Rajan, and all is good. FPL Wizard, hey fellas, great show as always. Been listening since the start, and it's been fun. Thanks. Thank you very much.
Cavani and Greenwood both start tonight, apparently. Does that mean Bruno doesn't? Because not that they play in the same position, but Escapades hasn't mentioned Bruno, so I presume he's had a rest. Has he had a rest? No, he hasn't had a rest.
Has he?
He hasn't had a rest. But some interesting players in there. You've got Matic and Twanzebe starting. Rashford's on the bench.
Yeah, he's starting.
Shaw isn't even in the squad. Please tell me there's nothing in that.
No,
oh, he's suspended.
I'm sure he's fine.
He's suspended. He's
Yeah,
suspended.
I was going to say
isn't
that. Yeah.
So's Maguire and McTominay, so that's all good.
No, so all is fine. Oh, here's one for. I'll let you two answer this one from Ayush. Who's the best looking FPL content creator that you know of? Una, you want to lead the way?
Content creator. Oh, fucking hell, you've put me on the spot here. I'm going to have to take a minute to think about this one.
Oh, jeez. What about
My
you, Tips?
favourite content creator.
No, best looking.
Oh, that's easy. Jenny, come on. What do you mean?
Oh, I don't know. Like you were saying Rambo. When Rambo was in, then you flip-flopped to
Nah,
Batiste.
sorry, Rambo. I forgot Jenny existed.
There you go, Harry. A bit of fun. What are you saying?
I'd probably say Johnny as well. Although I think
yeah, he is.
Matt FPL 01 when he has little curtains when he does his impression of
singing?
pig singing.
Yeah.
When he's singing and he's got his curtains out, I think I'd probably put him top. I do love that.
Let's have a look and see where we are. Right, Ahmed is saying, I don't have Jota, Salah, Kane, Liverpool defender, Spurs defender, Wolves defender. Can I avoid
There's a vote for Lynn, by the way, in the chat.
Oh, is there? Can I avoid a red arrow with 2 free transfers? I've still got my wild card. What are we saying to Ahmed then, Harry and Buna? So I'll go through it again just while you think.
Yeah.
I don't have... So this is him, not me. I couldn't cope if I didn't have half these players, however. I don't have Jota. He doesn't have Salah. He doesn't have Kane. He's got no Liverpool defenders. He's got no Spurs defenders. He's got no Wolves defenders. Can he avoid a red arrow with 2 free transfers? And in brackets, he's still got his wild card.
Depends who you're willing to take out and how much money you've got in the bank, doesn't it, really?
Mm,
You need Kane.
Yeah.
I would say so,
And
yeah.
you probably need one of... He's got no Salah or Jota? Or has he got... No, he's got Salah, I presume.
No, he said he got neither.
No, he's not got
He's got
Jota.
no Salah or Jota.
No.
No. Yeah, take a -4, bro, and bring in Salah, Jota, and Kane. Your
Yeah,
life will be
that's a
far
good-
better.
Yeah, that's a good 3 to bring in. What about you, Harry? Would you side with that?
I'd probably exclude Jota.
Okay,
And just
interesting.
go, I mean, I don't know who's got in his team, who he does have, but if possible, Kane and Salah.
What's your thinking
definitely.
behind that, Harry?
What?
What's your thinking behind excluding Jota out of interest?
I have a slight worry that he's not going to play.
Okay.
But I know they only have the league left now, so the rotation will probably be to a minimum. Salah is by far the priority for a Liverpool midfielder now. He looks so much better than he did. And there's always the chance that he goes with Mane, Firmino, Salah. So I don't know who's got in his team. If he is playing like someone who's potentially injured, if he's got Rafinha, then maybe. But I think Rafinha will probably be all right. But if he's got someone good enough to play, then I'm not sure Jota's worth a -4, although it is Leeds.
Question for you, Harry.
Yeah.
This is something I've literally just thought in the last 30 seconds.
Oh dear. Hot the
Is
bus.
Salah a viable captaincy option this week?
Oh.
I think he is. He's got a hat-trick in the reverse leg. Let's just remember that. Game week 1.
58% they are to beat Leeds.
I'm tempted to move it, you know.
Oh, I don't know, Boone. I don't know if you could do that. Listen, you be you.
I don't trust Spurs, man.
Yeah.
I was listening to Steve-O's stream earlier, and James, he was quoting James Planet FPL.
Mhm.
James was off a similar mindset. He said, if you've got Spurs assets, fine. If you haven't, do not bother. Honestly, we're not in good form. Yes, we've got the double. People often get clouded by the double, though. And what James apparently said was, if Spurs lose this fixture, he can see Mourinho ringing the changes for the Southampton one. And this isn't me trying to scaremonger. I'm genuinely, we're not in a good place.
If anyone had any doubts this evening of what they were doing or about to do, I guarantee you the last 30 seconds has swayed you.
I am changing my captain currently to Salah.
Wow. What are you? You can't do that. Can you do that, Harry? I don't
Of course
think
I
you
can.
Well, I know you can, but would you? Harry, would you be doing that?
No, I wouldn't. And I know Waz FPL in the chat is just, but he thinks all four will play Mane, Salah, Bobby, Jota. Which, if that's the case, then and Waz is a Liverpool fan, so he will probably have a better understanding than I will. So if that's the case, then Jota and Salah become potentially even better options. So
I mean, don't get me wrong. What Buna's saying and what James is saying is true. We have done this plenty of times. Look at the whole double Brighton situation that we had a few seasons ago, that Duncan Duffy for the double game weeks, and then nothing happened. You know, so yeah, you're right, Buna, with what you're saying, mate. We have been clouded, as James is saying. So Salah probably is a viable option, as is. Well, there's probably a few more. I mean, what about Fernandes possibly against Burnley? Just throwing it out there. Interesting.
So I have a captaincy ranking that I have to release this evening, and it's Kane, Son, Salah, Lingard, Fernandes. I think is the order.
Lingard before Fernandes.
Right, and I took a long time going over this, and my only worry, I think Lingard potentially over Fernandes, yes, and the reason for it is there's just something. If Fernandes is starting tonight as well, I think it has an impact on him. The only worry is Lingard is playing a team that won't let them counter, and that will be a problem for Lingard. But yeah, I still think he's a good captaincy option this week.
Interesting. Oh well,
but Salah's better than both of them.
Yeah, I think if I wasn't going with Kane, because that's where my armband is at the moment, then I think Salah is actually my vice, because I don't like to do Son just in case something bizarre happens. So I like to always have a vice on a different player altogether. From a different team, I should say. So, interesting. Well, Buna, you've got everyone thinking now, mate.
Yeah, I mean, just thought about it. So, in terms of ownership percentages as well, Salah's 31%. Son is up to 45 and Kane is 49. So, I imagine Son and Kane's... The only bad thing for me will be that both their effective ownerships are likely to be over 100, I reckon.
I'm not sure Son will.
Son will be close though. He'll be 80, 90 at least. So maybe not so bad. But Kane will be.
He'll be well over.
It'll be difficult. It's going to be a catch-22 for me as a Spurs supporter, being like, "Yay, I think." Do I?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Yeah. That's a tough one. At least it's tomorrow that we need to make the decision, and not like in 10 minutes. So Scott reckons he's going to go.
You know what? Also, mate, you've seen Rafinha's an injury doubt, right?
Yeah.
I know it's not conclusive, and it doesn't mean he's ruled out. But as a result of that, I think what I'm also going to do is I've moved Bamford from first bench to second and swapped him with Digne, because I can see Everton making it difficult for us.
Okay.
How do you see that game playing out, boys? Everton Spurs. Do you think Spurs will score?
DCL being out doesn't help them.
No.
Do you think that'll tilt it?
I think it definitely tilts it in Spurs' favour. Just having to have a wee quick scout here. I mean, Draft Town's got it 44% against 30% for Everton, so they're pushing Tottenham out, and I think that's probably down to who's available for each of the clubs. So yeah, so I can see Spurs edging it, to be honest. I don't think it's going to be like a goal fest or anything, but who knows? Scott's decided he's probably going to go Watkins because of the double game weeks and stuff like that are coming up. Badman's asking you, Buna, where do you think Harry Kane's going to end up next season? Just loving to get it in there.
No idea.
We'll take a few more questions, I think, Buna, shall we? And then we'll wrap things up. I can't believe this is another one that's just flew by, Tips. So hopefully you've enjoyed yourself for the past hour. Johan, Laka's 5 goals and an assist in the last 6 games and great fixtures, and he's still a differential. You consider that a bonus. So just siding with yourself, Harry, with Lacazette as a potential striker differential. Natasha is asking a question here. Would you hold DCL until their double game week, or would you bring in Lacazette stroke Iniacho for him just now? DCL, as we've just already seen, is expected to be out to the 23rd. So what would you do in his in that scenario? Would you hold DCL, or would you bring in Iniacho or Lacazette just now?
If you don't have Iheanacho, then I'd go Iheanacho.
Okay. What about you, Buna? What would you do in that circumstance?
I didn't hear the full question, but I heard Iheanacho and Lacazette as replacements. Who was it to replace?
Yeah, so Natasha.
Cavalier?
No, yeah. So you think, saying do I hold until the double game week, or do I swap them out for?
No, 100% get out.
Yeah, okay.
100% get out. I just want to check Arsenal's fixtures. Yeah, I'd probably go Iheanacho personally.
Yeah, I think so. Double could, and then Natasha's just confirming there the double game week could be as early as game week 35, as we were already saying. Right, let me go, Harry. I will dig out. I think there's another couple that I did see coming in. Creswell's coming out for Regulon. That's what Scott's doing for a -4. That's fine. Adam's apologise. No need to apologise, Adam. Everything's fine. And I think we're almost bang up to date. Unless there's anything else you want to add, Mr. Buna.
Nothing from me, mate. Just a thank you to Harry for joining us, pal.
Definitely.
Pleasure.
Thank you for having me, but can I ask you two a question?
Of course you can.
Of course, mate.
So I haven't made my transfer this week, and I will be selling Aubameyang. And the two players that I don't own, that I want to own, are Lingard and Fernandes. Now, both have.
Well, you've made your bed, mate. We've seen your captaincy poll.
Well,
that's
for this week, but
I know.
That's for this week.
It's got to
So
be Bruno,
this
mate.
week-
It's got to be Bruno.
Yeah, I think
I
it
would
does.
say
I mean,
so,
I may
yeah.
get one in for,
Especially
Son
with
in
Leeds the
future.
following week.
Mm.
Especially with Leeds the following week. I think he destroyed him in the first, in the home fixture
Yeah.
as well.
I mean, when you look at their fixtures, right, they're at home to Liverpool, which isn't the worst game in the world for Man United, especially the way Liverpool are as well at the moment, a bit kind of up and down. And their only other kind of tough fixture, if you like, in inverted commas, is again as a home game against Leicester. And we know Leicester can be a bit iffy as well. So apart from that, as Buna says, you've got Burnley this week, then you've got Leeds, Villa, Fulham's in there, Wolves are in there. I think their fixtures are far better than West Ham's.
Yeah, I think I'll probably end up with both, and I'll
Yeah.
probably get rid of Son after the double. But
Yes.
yeah, just the next two I think favours Bruno because of that Leeds fixture.
Mm.
But thanks.
No, not a problem.
No worries, mate.
Anything else for any more thoughts on? Oh, there you go. We'll finish off with this one then. This one's coming in from Jesmar. Hope you're doing well. Hope everyone's doing well. What are your thoughts, Buna and Harry, on Iheanacho as your captain for this game week at home against West Brom? So, Buna, you were just talking about differential type captains, possibly edging your armband over onto Salah. What about Iheanacho?
No, not for me. And the
Okay.
reason it's not for me is because he hasn't proved it over a number of seasons, whereas Salah has.
Okay.
So if we was to see Iheanacho stop scoring, it wouldn't be a shock because we don't have that expectation of him. So no, not for me.
Okay, and what about yourself, Harry?
Yeah, I think what Boona said is hit it exactly, and I think West Brom have been really quite good in the past couple of weeks. So I think it will be harder for Leicester than it maybe looks on paper when you look at the fixture. So yeah. If you've got Kane in your team, I can't see that Iheanacho captain is a better option than Kane.
No, yeah, I get that. That's true. And as Adam's just popped in there, basically saying West Brom isn't the easiest game anymore. Exactly.
Yeah.
And Anand, what a nice way to finish us off. Lovely episode as always, boys. Thank you very much. Now, Harry, before we wrap the stream up, I want you to pimp yourself out to the chat. So for those that may not know, I don't know why they wouldn't know who you are. However, there might be. Can you take the next whatever you need to just let people know where you are, how to interact with you, and all that good stuff, please?
Yeah, perfect. Just either on Twitter or on YouTube, FPL Tips with a Z. But yeah, my DMs on Twitter are always open. If guys have questions about anything, feel free to drop me a message. But yeah, thank you guys for having me on. I've really enjoyed it.
Not a problem. Again, I'll let Boona wrap things up, but just want to say thank you to yourself, Harry. A privilege as always. And to everyone that joined us this evening in the chat, or if you're listening back even, Thank you very much all. Boona pimped us out earlier on with the likes and the subs and the polishing of the bells. If you don't mind doing that, it's much appreciated.
Again.
Nice one. Wrap it up then, young man.
Brilliant. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Harry, for joining us. Some great to see some new faces in the chat. Some people I've not seen there previously. And thank you for the subscriptions since my last message. We're now only 2 subs away from 800. So before you leave, if you haven't already, please do consider hitting that subscribe button. Other than that, we also go, as well as Thursdays, we do go live, or Llama tends to go live every Sunday, doing we call it a Sunday supplement, something like a bit more of a paper talk, reviewing the papers from Saturday and the games that have taken place. So that will happen this Sunday at 11 o'clock. And then next Thursday, our special guest is a chap called Jake Gallagher, who's the head of social and content for Odds Checker. And he's an absolute FPL enthusiast. He boasted a finish of 114 last season and is having an absolute stellar season again this season. So if you're interested, hit that subscribe button, but more importantly, turn on notifications so you don't miss that one. Other than that, guys, I wish you all the best, and we will see you soon. Take care.
Fun. Take care, folks. Cheers.
I found some better sounds no one's ever heard. I wish I had a better voice that sang some better words. I wish I found some chords in an order that is new. I wish I didn't have to rhyme every time I sang. I was told when I get older all my fears would shrink, but now I'm insecure and I care what people think. My name's Blurry Face and I care what you think. My name's Blurry Face and I care what you think. Wish we could turn back time to the good old days when the mama sang us to sleep, but now it's just stop.